Imagine a routine jog turning into a nightmare. That's what happened to Karina Vetrano. Karina's life was anything but ordinary. Born on a summer day in 1986, she was a New Yorker through and through, growing up in the bustling borough of Queens. She was a proud graduate of Archbishop Malloy High School and later earned her master's degree from St. John's University. Karina was a young woman of many talents and passions, from her work as a speech pathologist to her endeavors as an aspiring writer. Her life was a whirlwind of aspirations and adventures. She had a heart for children with autism, and she spent considerable time working with these special kids. She dabbled in the culinary world, catering events and creating memorable dishes. Travel was another of Karina's passions, and she spent her free time exploring the world, soaking up new cultures and experiences. Karina's vibrant life was beautifully chronicled on her blog, where she shared her poetic musings and introspective thoughts. She painted a picture of a life that was chaotic, yet filled with beauty and excitement. It was a life lived to the fullest, a life that was tragically cut short. On August 2, 2016, an ordinary day turned into a nightmare. Karina Vetrano set out for her routine jog in Spring Creek Park, an activity as normal to her as brushing her teeth in the morning. But on this fateful day, her run was far from routine. As the evening wore on, her absence became alarming. Her father, a retired firefighter, grew increasingly concerned and organized a search party. The search ended in the most tragic way possible. Karina's lifeless body was found in the park. Her dreams and aspirations were brutally snuffed out during what should have been just another evening run. The horrifying reality was that Karina had been sexually assaulted and strangled, left alone in the park where she had been enjoying her usual jog. Karina's life was cruelly cut short in a brutal attack during what should have been just another evening run. The discovery of Karina's lifeless body led to an intense investigation that lasted for months. The NYPD, known for its prowess in solving crimes, was faced with a daunting task. The horrifying details of the case began to unfold. Karina was found sexually assaulted and strangled. Her life abruptly ended in the serene surroundings of Spring Creek Park. It was a chilling crime that sent shockwaves through the city. The NYPD pulled out all stops in their pursuit of justice. Officers combed through the park, looking for any signs of the killer. DNA samples were collected from the crime scene, from under Karina's nails and on her phone, in the hope of finding a match. The investigation was meticulous, leaving no stone unturned. Forensic teams worked around the clock, analyzing over 600 DNA samples. Detectives worked tirelessly, following up on leads, interviewing potential witnesses, and piecing together the final moments of Karina's life. Yet, despite these extensive efforts, the breakthrough they were hoping for seemed elusive. The case became a puzzle, a grim jigsaw with pieces that didn't seem to fit. The lack of leads began to cast a shadow over the investigation, and the pressure to find Karina's killer grew. The city was on edge, the media was in a frenzy, and the reward for information leading to the killer's capture climbed to a staggering $300,000. Yet the months rolled on with no significant progress. The NYPD was in a race against time, knowing that with each passing day, the trail was growing colder. The city watched, waited, and hoped for justice. Karina's family, despite their unimaginable grief, showed strength and resilience, urging the NYPD to keep pushing, to keep searching. The quest for answers was marked with frustration and despair, but the NYPD, known for their unwavering dedication, refused to give in. They remained steadfast in their mission, determined to bring Karina's killer to justice. The resolve of the detectives was unshakable, their pursuit relentless. Despite the NYPD's tireless efforts, the killer remained elusive. The investigation was far from over, and the fight for justice was just beginning. The breakthrough in the case came from an unexpected source: DNA evidence. The meticulous work of investigators finally paid off when DNA found under Karina's nails and on her cell phone matched that of Chanel Lewis, a young man of 20 years residing in Brooklyn. No stranger to law enforcement, Lewis was brought in for questioning, where he confessed to the heinous crime. The confession, though shocking, combined with the incriminating DNA evidence, painted a damning picture against Lewis. However, in the court of law, every case has two sides. Lewis's defense did not back down. They argued that his confession was coerced, forced out of him under the pressure of interrogation. They pointed out that the DNA evidence could have been transferred innocently. They highlighted inconsistencies in the investigation, the delayed disclosure of evidence, and even suggested racial profiling. The trial was a grueling process, a battle of wits and legal knowledge. The prosecution presented their case, the defense countered, The jury, the judge, the public, we all watched, waited, and wondered. What was the truth? Who was Chanel Lewis? The defense's arguments, though compelling, were not enough to sway the jury. The evidence was too strong, the confession too damning. After careful deliberation, the jury returned with their verdict: guilty. Chanel Lewis was found guilty of first-degree murder and sexual abuse. The sentence: life in prison without the possibility of parole. Despite the defense's arguments, Chanel Lewis was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. But as the gavel struck, marking the end of this chapter, a new one was already beginning to unfold. An anonymous letter, allegations of police misconduct, claims of racial bias. The story was far from over. The quest for truth, for justice, for Karina continues. But the quest for justice did not end with the conviction. The case took an unexpected turn when an anonymous letter surfaced, alleging police misconduct and racial bias in the investigation. The letter, filled with explosive allegations, breathed new life into the ongoing legal battle. It raised questions about the integrity of the investigation, casting a shadow of doubt over the conviction. The tragic death of Karina Vetrano sent shockwaves through the community, sparking conversations about safety, justice, and the legal system's complexities. It reminded us that justice isn't just about punishment, but also about fairness and accountability. Karina's legacy continues to inspire and challenge us. Her life, cut short in its prime, is a beacon of strength, urging us to confront the uncomfortable truths of our society. To question, to seek, to demand justice for all. Karina's tragic death serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the need for accountability and fairness in our quest for justice.